I'm Mateo, and I'm here with A.T. Miller, CMU's new Chief Diversity Officer. So, A.T., you and I got to meet a couple days ago, but we didn't really get a good chance to talk to each other, so I'd like to tell you a little bit more about myself.
Sure.
So, my ancestors, they come from Hungary, Mexico, Ireland, Africa. I kind of have a lot going on. And so, because of that, diversity has always been a part of my life, and it's always been really something that's important to me. And I guess my question to you is, when people think about diversity, they kind of think about my situation. They don't really think about a Caucasian male. So what kind of skills and experiences do you bring to CMU that makes you think you're going to be a good fit for the campus as Chief Diversity Officer?
Sure, thanks. It's good to talk about this with you, Mateo. And you know, all of our backgrounds are really important, and the United States, of course, brings together all kinds of people, some not voluntarily, others, you know, came here with purpose of being part of the United States. But whatever that kind of background, there are so many facets to diversity. We all have within us all the different kinds of diversity. If you look at CMU's affirmative action statement, it covers 22 different categories. And so we all have an age, we all have a sexuality, we all have a gender, we all have a race and an ethnicity, and you know, these many facets of ourselves. And I think it's really the intersection of those things that have been fascinating to me. All of my life, my parents were actually big-time activists in the open housing movement in Chicago. So there's pictures of me in a stroller at marches, and you know, so I sort of came from it from the social activist side as well as the intellectual side. And of course, growing up as a gay man in the U.S., I grew up at a time when that was very unaccepted, and so that added to my sensibilities around these issues.
I always say that, like, knowing about different kinds of cultures is like looking at the world with two eyes. If you only look with one eye, you don't know about diversity, you kind of miss the bigger picture.
Well, I like that analogy, because the cool thing about, you know, one eye, the issue for people who have sight only in one eye is they don't have depth perception. And I think that's sort of a cool way to think about diversity. If you don't get, if you aren't able to imagine what it's like to be someone else and to interact with them, you don't have depth. You only know yourself. You only know one way of looking at the world. So I think that's a cool idea, you know, and it sort of matches physics too. Yeah.
So I guess to kind of help with like CMU's depth perception, like what are some of the plans that you have as the CDO to kind of help people see more?
So I think that, you know, there's a lot of ways that we can leverage the diversity that's already here. Of course, we want to add to it, and particularly with faculty and staff, to draw in more folks with a greater variety of backgrounds. But I think one of the issues is, you know, it doesn't matter if you're with a bunch of diverse people if you're not interacting, if you're not learning from each other. So we're thinking about more kinds of events and kinds of programs where people are really encouraged to interact and speak to each other and speak about things that might even be sensitive. You know, we're going to try something called Conversations That Matter, where we really put a hot topic on the table and have students, faculty, staff, administrators, everybody in the room to simply share what you think about that topic and why you may have reached that kind of conclusion or perspective, and then listen to other people. So it's not meant to be a debate, it's just meant to be, okay, so let's get beyond being polite to each other and see, can we learn from each other? Can we listen to each other? Can we listen to stuff we didn't expect to hear, or maybe we don't like hearing, you know, and take it in, and then share rather than listen and then walk away and tell our friends what we think. You know, can we say this to each other? So I think the more we learn to interact positively across difference, the more we'll value it, the more we'll think, oh, that was cool. I learned this thing I didn't know. And I hope that people all over campus recognize, you know, this is a new operation and it's only going to succeed when everyone participates. So if you see me on campus, you know, if you're walking around or you pass by our office or our phone number, there's so many ways to be in touch. But we hope that everyone will join in these activities and that we'll get a really exciting synergistic thing happening here at CMU.
I'm really excited to see what you do. Thanks again, AT.
Thanks.